there's no time for me. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Ready to explore right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
I'm here only because your stare won't ever let me go. I'm here only cause I'm aware with you is better than all alone. Oh, 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 say what you're dying to say. No, oh, tonight we're stars but we'll fade away. Go on and light me up, oh, go on and light me up while we're golden. Come on and light me up, oh, come on and light me up before we come down. Stars will always come down, so we'll
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series presented by the Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist, making our second stop of the season here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Got some pre-race ceremonies we're going to get through tonight, and then we got a special tribute following that. So let's get right on into it here tonight with your starting grid. Setting the pole, one of the veterans and Team Marble iRacing's own Tyler Marble. He puts down a flyer at 30.803. He will take tonight from the starting grid on first. Brian Conklin rolls off second. It's Tracy Powers back in third. Jared Bundy in fourth. Roger Shelton fifth. Jeff Shutt in sixth. Jacob Musso back in seventh. Good to see him back here tonight. Jeff Marble, the captain, in eighth. Bill Benedict ninth. And Kenneth Bartholomew, the rookie. We saw how much speed he brought to Daytona, rounding out your top 10. Brett Spod for BMP Racing, he rolls off 11th. Good qualifying effort for him. Troy Baker back in 12th. Row 7 is going to be Brandon Saylor and Mark Zabak. Austin Fitzgerald back in 15th. Wes Hurd Jr., good to see him making a return here tonight in 16th. Ryan Shiro 17th. Alan Pajari for Dynamic Autosports in 18th. Jake Hickson, the rookie who got the job done at Daytona, 1-for-1 on the season. He rolls off 19th tonight, looking to go back-to-back. Todd Shiro rounding out your top 20. Jeffrey Souza starting 21st. It's Andrew Mraz in 22nd. Andrew Russo back in 23rd. Danny Gutierrez 24th. Nick Sitchie in 25th. Quentin Clark 26th. Scott Glasso 27th. Ryan Haynes in 28th. Michael Mueller rounding out your top 30. Taio Polito 31st. Glenn Grigsby 32nd. Thomas O'Hara and Rodney Piddock making up 33rd and 34th. Johnny McCulchuk 35th. Adam G. Johnson in 36th. Kyle Oakley back in 37th. Matthew Gearinger in 38th. And Cody Matthews rounds out the field tonight. He will roll off in 39th. All right, well, we're going to turn our attention here to the front of the field for something that we don't normally see, and makes us sad to see it, but going to get a moment of silence here for Kenneth Bartholomew, the car he's running tonight. Actually, a special tribute to Erica Taylor, who unfortunately, a close friend, lost her battle to cancer recently. Kenneth honoring her tonight with a scheme. And you see it on the back of the tailgate in memory of Erica Taylor. So we're going to go silent for the rest of this lap as we give a moment of silence. And Kenneth Bartholomew will fade to the back of the pack now as we get ready for the green flag. Again, beautiful paint scheme. We'll see if he can get it into victory lane tonight. We know how much speed, again, he had at the first Super Speedway. And tonight, more of the same here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's get the race breakdown for you here tonight. It is the Atlanta Spring 200 here for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series, and that means we are back in the next gens, just as we were last season and last race at Daytona, which Bryce was covering for us. Now taking a look at the rest of what we're working with here tonight. How about it? 130 laps, the total scheduled distance. 100% fuel, 4 sets of tires, no fast repair, open setups, and 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Looking more at Atlanta Motor Speedway itself. There you see it there. Track length 1.52 miles. It is a mile and a half, but it races like a super speedway. Still, I believe it's just under 30 degrees in banking. And then, of course, with the higher spoiler, you're going to see a lot of drafting here tonight, similar to what we did see last week at Daytona. And getting ready for a good one. Track temp 91 degrees, so should be plenty of grip early, but these things have a tendency to slip and slide as we get later and later through this run. All right, as we get everything reset, reloaded, and get ready to go here tonight, Matthew Gearinger looks like being scored a little bit interesting, but right now we keep all eyes up front. Tyler Marble is ready to go, and so are we. Atlanta Motor Speedway, here we go. Green flag is in the air. And we already got one spun out back. Couldn't tell exactly who that was. We keep it green. Was that Cody Matthews? Yeah, it indeed was. That was right off the restart. Not normally a place you see trouble happen at, but it's exactly what happened right there. So as he tries to get things sorted out and whatnot here, definitely a tough break as we go back to the front of the field now where Tyler Marble is your current leader. You see all the smoke clearing, and he will take lap 1. Just behind him right now, how about going back, Tracy Powers showing a lot of strength here early. And right now you notice the scoring does look to be a little bit messed up right here, showing Matthew Gearinger being scored as your leader. He is not. So we'll go ahead and see if we can get that fixed during our first break. Right now, all you need to know, though, is it is Tyler Marble out in front, and he is leading the pack. Look at the run that we're starting to see up top, and they're trying to get something working. Got to be careful, though, with how much you push here early. And where do you push at? But Jacob Musso, no strangers to the super speedways. One of the Musso Speed Shop drivers really held down the fort after a couple of his teammates had to go part-time after about halfway through last season. And here he is getting a lot of aero push through the corner, and now going to get a physical push as they work their way down the straightaway from Brian Conklin. Gets the 95 clear, just what he wants to do, and now he's going to jump right back up to the top. Here comes the 3 now of Jared Bundy. Notice a little bit of a break further back. Jeff Marble trying to get a side draft off of Tracy Powers and a couple others to see if he can get back closer to the front. Again, that outside line seems to be the place early, at least from what we saw in officials this week in iRacing. But these guys bring their own setups here. A lot of them have setup shops that they use. Some of them do their own setups. So you never know what you're going to get. Big checkup right there, right around Austin Fitzgerald, Jeff Shutt, and Brandon Saylor. Everybody keeps it together, and they continue rolling. There you see the 12 machine as well, Wes Hurd Jr. Good-looking scheme as he makes his debut for this season here on the night. Just behind him, how about the 20 of Ryan Sherrill, Alan Pajari again for Dynamic Autosports. And, you know, I feel like we can't really talk too much more about Dynamic Autosports without mentioning, first of all, the stacked lineup that they've got this season, which I know we talked about in the duels, but how about what they've already accomplished this season? And that is all due to, in part, this guy right here. Look no further than Jake Hickson, the rookie. What about the job that he did last week at Daytona? Looking to see if he can do it again here tonight. Helped his teammate Ty Iopolito. And boy, those two, might as well call it a 1-2 finish for both of them in terms of they worked as a unit the whole race. And no surprise to see a victory lane strike early. Second place, Jacob Musso. Tyler Marble back in third. Tracy Powers in fourth. Roger Shelton rounding out your top 5. And it's actually the inside that seems to be rolling a little bit better, at least at the moment. We'll see if that stays around much longer. But we got to talk about the fuel window here at some point. And for these drivers, it's a right around 60 laps on a full tank. And again, you can stretch it probably right around to lap 70, depending on how far back you are in the draft and how much you can save. So as it stands right now, wouldn't be surprised if this is a one-stop race. And so with that, you got to get settled in here, start to get in a rhythm because we still got a lot of racing to go. And again, you don't want to get yourself caught into trouble here too early, potentially ruin your race. Bill Benedict, see him currently sitting on that inside lane, fourth back. He is 8th overall, and actually take that back, make it 6 cars back on the inside. Just behind him, there is Kenneth Bartholomew. Behind him, Brett Spod making his way up here now for BMP Racing. And again, we saw him and Ryan Haynes with the teamwork last year, but it just seems like this season, from what we saw in the duels and then last week at Daytona, they really came to play, especially on the restrictor plates. Watch them to be strong, especially on the teamwork side, as we get ready before we head into next week to the first true mile and a half, of course, with Las Vegas. So you may not be able to take too much from this week to next week in terms of how each mile and a half drives. However, boy, a win would be sweet and helping your chances for a playoff run later in the season. And so with that, we continue to stay 2x2 throughout majority of the pack, and this is what it's going to be probably for most of the night until these tires wear out. And you might be wondering, well, if these guys go at it for this long, do tires really matter? Well, the answer is yes. Again, Daytona, Talladega, maybe not so much. Atlanta, a little bit of the best of both worlds, if you will, in terms of what we see at a track like Las Vegas, which we're going to go to next week. And a super speedway like Daytona, a lot of drafting is hold your breath here. They're going to split it 3 wide for just a moment. Now the 3 of Jared Bundy is going to jump to the inside. And man, that's a tough break right there for Roger Shelton. You saw he was trying to cut Tyler Marble a break there, didn't want to split him. And Jared Bundy said, well, if you're not going to do it, I certainly will. And as he jumps to the inside, we'll see if that 42 is able to find a spot back in line. But usually when you get stuck in that outside line, that's a ticket to the back of the train. So we'll see if he gets this thing figured out here in the next turn or two. Jeff Shutt's going to go by in the middle, but back in the conversation of tires, again, yeah, you're going to see a lot of the pack racing early, a lot of hard pushing, and a lot of energy overall from this pack. But as we start to wind down the laps, start to get these tires more worn out, you need to make sure that you've saved something here for the end of this run, or the car's going to get really loose, and it's going to give you a hard time. And speaking of a hard time, you saw how much ground sort of the second pack now was starting to lose, in which made it become the second pack on that first group, which is single file. All the side drafting going on right there between the 42 and the 3. They decided to sort it out. And it looks like Jared Bundy decided it's in his best interest to let Roger Shelton back down. He does just that. Now they're going to try to get the momentum back going here on the top. They get 13 laps now complete as they cross the start-finish line this time. A couple guys on the move right now, though. Most notably, at least inside your top 10, two names come to mind. First up, how about Todd Shiro? Currently sitting in that 9th position. He's up 11 spots from where he started this race at, making up positions early and on restarts. It's going to be the key to victory lane here tonight. And then the other one catching my attention right now is Jeffrey Souza in that 96 machine. Good to see him back out here. Good-looking scheme. And right now, he has got himself up 8 positions from where he started this race at. Austin Fitzgerald, a little surprising. Your spring winner last season here at Atlanta, not quite making up the ground you would have expected here, at least early on in the race. You know they're going to have a good setup to work with because, again, they had a winning setup here last year, but right now I think just sitting in the middle of the pack, taking his time, doesn't want to push the issue too much. Meanwhile, back up front, Brian Conklin doing the exact opposite. Once he took the lead, he has been very adamant about trying to stay there. He continues to lead Jacob Musso and Tracy Powers. That little trio there of single fileness ends right there as Bill Benedict and Jeff Shutt back to side-by-side. Alan Pajari has stacked up on the outside as well. Kenneth Bartholomew on the inside with Tyler Marble. And all of a sudden, the outside, which looked like maybe wasn't quite as dominant as we were expecting early, looks like it's starting to gain some ground again here. Starting to get it rolling outside. The 34 going to take the top. Oh, the 42 gets into the wall. Roger Shelton broke the cushion, and he's going to get some damage to the right side of his Chevy Camaro here early in the going. Looks like he's going to be able to keep it together and drop back in line. And I say damage, but really shouldn't affect that car too much, especially when he's sitting in the draft. But you certainly never like to get damage if you can prevent it. And so they're going to dice around a little bit more. Danny Gutierrez, he jumps up to the top. Again, no stranger to super speedway racing for him. Last season's Daytona 250 winner, or Capital Auto Group 250 rather, at Daytona. Conklin's going to go around. Does he save it? He does. What a save from Brian Conklin as Jeff Shutt merges back towards the front. How did the 37 not wreck? Going to lose all his ground as he falls way outside the top 20. In fact, all the way back to 28th. Man, what a save from Brian Conklin. Let's back this up and take a look at exactly what went wrong here. And looked like a classic case of this quad oval giving drivers trouble here early. And again, it's interesting because it doesn't quite drive like a normal tri-oval. You have to really put some wheel into it as you make each one of these little kinks in. That's not what causes it here, though. It just looks like a little bit of physicality out back here. Alan Pajari and Jeff Shutt. Let's go to the chopper view. And as they come off the corner, Pajari's got that big run. And he's trying to square up Jeff Shutt to give him a push. But right as they get on exit, you see he gets just a little bit offset to the left. Gives him a little bit of a swipe. It hooks the 27. He saves it. The problem is there's a car down there. So when he gets kind of down about a lane and a half, gets into Brian Conklin, who locks up the front brakes. And boy, this thing straightens itself right up. Phenomenal save from Brian Conklin to keep it going and not put himself out of this race. And well, unfortunately, it looks like he is going to put himself out of the draft, though, after that save. So he is going to need a caution here, but we still got a lot of racing to go, and something tells me we still have a good shot at potentially seeing the big one here tonight. The other thing I want to go take a look at real quick was the start of this race, in which we did have some trouble here. I'll show you what that was like. This was for Cody Matthews, one of the independent drivers last season. And on the restart here, does he just miss a gear? Or is it going to be a stack up in front? No, the stack up actually starts in front, and yeah, it's a big check up there. Ryan Haynes, that might explain some of the trouble he had. And then you see as a result, Cody Matthews was the guy that got the worst end of the stick, but oh man, that's a tough break here for Ryan Haynes. I was wondering why I didn't see him up there with his teammate, but this would certainly explain why that big checkup, once it gets started, just never ends, and 39 goes hard into the outside safer barrier. Not too surprising to see those checkups in general, especially at the plate tracks, but definitely surprising to see it right off the restart. And so, again, the 39 looks like he has retired from this race from that lap 1 incident. Meanwhile, back up front, it's Jacob Musso now leading the way. Alan Pajari second. Jared Bundy back in third. Jeff Shutt in fourth. Tracy Powers fifth. Bill Benedict in sixth. Kenneth Bartholomew in seventh. Jeff Marble eighth. Tyler Marble in ninth. Brett Spod rounding out your top 10. Next highest rookie besides Bartholomew is Troy Baker. Currently back in that 11th position. Andrew Mraz in 13th. Jake Hickson 14th. Todd Shiro 15th. And then there's Ty E. Polito, another one of the Dynamic Autosports drivers. Those two rookies they picked up, boy, they must have known something that everybody else didn't, because they have been just on fire since the start of the season. But how about right now, the separation of a pack that we're starting to get here? In fact, you see the lead pack as it stands is about 16 cars deep. And then leading that second pack right now is Mark Zabak, and he currently sits in 17th. He's got Jeffrey Souza just behind him. And Souza in the 96. Ooh, getting a big push in the corner right there from Wesser Jr. Got to be careful doing that. We saw the trouble between Pajari and Conklin, and that was on the straightaway. But just a lot of aggression here. These guys know they need to catch this lead pack, and they're knocking right on the door. Currently, Mark Zabak is 1.54 seconds off the back bumper of Todd Shiro. And remember, the draft stretches back to just about 1.5 seconds. So they know if they can just capture maybe another tenth or two, they're going to get a big pull off of that draft. And when it became two packs, at least for the moment, may go and merge back to one. And those two packs aren't alone. We do actually have a third pack forming. Looks like back here in the 20th position, actually even further back than that. We've got like 4 packs at this point. But here's that second pack, and we'll go back to the third pack here, which is currently being led by Kyle Oakley, who sits in 28th at the moment. And again, not the run that the 17 is looking for, but still a lot of time. Only need one caution to really shake up the way this race goes. And so right now, again, not the start if you're a Kyle Oakley fan, but he's still got plenty of time, and see what he can do the rest of the way. One thing that we can't stop here and pause on a moment is let's take a look at some of the speeds that we see through these packs, along with the driver cams that we've got here on the night. And first stop is going to be right here at that 17 machine of Kyle Oakley. There you see the onboard view right now, just trying to hold a steady line, hoping that he can get enough pushing from out back here. See if this pack can make up any ground, but again, probably going to need a caution, at least as it stands now, if he wants to get back towards the front of this field. Talk about Ryan Haynes. Believe he had retired from this race. Looks like he has actually made his way back out, but you hear the damage there. I mean, just doesn't sound like it's going to be recoverable for the 39. I mean, riding around in 4th gear, certainly not the way you want to have to run this race, but sometimes the way it goes. So we'll see what Ryan Haynes can recover. Maybe try to steal whatever points he can here out of the night and move on next week to Vegas. Look for him to be strong there. And we'll head back towards the front of the field here for a moment. Take a look at a couple of our other driver cams. And how about series owner and Team Marble iRacing's captain? It's Jeff Marble, driver out of Buffalo, New York, leading that outside for this lead pack. And kind of that point in the race where maybe you thought some of these guys would think about riding around, but doesn't look like it's the case. A lot of aggression here still at the front as everybody is trying to get whatever track position they can, because it's going to matter a lot as these tires continue to wear out. More downforce on the front is going to equal probably better grip overall. So keep an eye here on Jeff Marble to see if he can continue to work his way towards the front of the field. Good news for Jeff is he does have a teammate here, not quite behind him, but just to the inside, and that is Tyler Marble. Tyler, the 48, multiple wins again last season, but still looking to see if he can get the job done here at Atlanta tonight. You see running currently behind the rookie, Kenneth Bartholomew. And well, how about the respect? A lot of times we see, especially in the Real Life Cup Series, when you have a rookie in the field, maybe tempted to race him a little bit more aggressive. Guys feel like maybe they don't belong up here in the pack, but Tyler Marble looks like he feels more than comfortable riding behind the 73 right now with Bartholomew. So he just sits and plays this thing patient, and again awaits that first green flag pit stop, which we are now halfway to that point. And now we go back and take a look for No Excuses Racing. Johnny Mikulchuk currently sits in that 31st position. Talked about it last season, but we'll bring it up for anybody new tuning in this season. The rig that Johnny McCulchuk actually races in is about half of a modified body from a real NASCAR, and you kind of see it in the background there. It looks like he maybe has some roll bars still built in. Got the triple monitor setup. And if you're looking for as real as it gets, look no further than the driver from Fraser, Michigan. And last but certainly not least, one of the rookies that we have on the season here tonight, looking to see what he can do in his, again, first start here, is Rodney Pitcott. And again, not the run he wants right now, currently in 34th, but a lot of time. And as it stands at the moment, as you see from the onboard view, he's in a draft, learning everything he can. He's got a good paint scheme, got a fast car, and all it takes is that one caution to change your race. We'll see if Rodney Pitcott can get it. All right, so as we go back towards the front, that's where the battling continues to be at here with 32 of 130 laps complete. If you're just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. We've had quite a few lead changes up to this point, but recently not so much. Jacob Musso has been comfortably out in front. Alan Pajari has been a good pusher. And that third car in line of Jared Bundy has been a pretty good supporter, looking to see if he can get his first win of the season here tonight. We saw Jared Bundy come alive last season with a couple of poles towards the end of the season and speed when it mattered. And of course on SWM Motorsports, watch for him. I don't think he's going to make a move right now. I think he's content to stay where he is. But you go further back, this is a guy who has been trying to make a couple moves, Tracy Powers. And as surprising as it was, Tracy went winless last season, had a couple of really, really close goes at it, but couldn't quite piece one together. Maybe he finds victory lane for the first time here tonight in the Atlanta Spring 200. Jeff Shutt, Jeff Marble working together on the outside. They've got the 35 of Brett Spad just behind them. And if those three cars can get linked together, they can make some progress. But again, I think right now just kind of playing it patient. I mean, it's risk versus reward. And when you come to a track like Atlanta, that risk versus reward early on is a little bit different than later. As Spad taps the outside wall there on the exit of the tri-oval. We talked about how tricky it is here, even on the front straightaway with that quad oval. And yeah, Brett Spad looked like maybe, not sure if he just couldn't see it with how close he was to Jeff Marble, but that was definitely a pretty solid hit to the right side of his Chevy Camaro. Not sure how much damage it did here, but we'll take a look. Yeah, there you go. You see some of the scrapes and dents, especially towards the right rear. So we'll see how much that affects his aero for the rest of this race and if he can get that repaired under a pit stop. Speaking of pit stop, again, we are now about 25. Well, actually, I changed that range because, again, 60 laps is the window starting out, but you can make it all the way to probably around 70. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe even a couple laps after that. And you want to go to at least 65 to make this race a one-stopper, which I believe everybody should be able to do, assuming tires can hold out, which, again, we assume that they should be able to here. Going further back, how about a man we haven't talked about here yet on the night, the 18 machine. Talked about him a little bit, Troy Baker, but we haven't really looked too much on the strategy that he's playing here tonight. Sits just in front of Austin Fitzgerald. But we're going to look a row back because we've got a little three-wide action now. Todd Shiro, Andrew Morazzo, the 97. The man tried to make it three wide in the middle. And remember the speed that the entire team, Andrew Moraz runs on, had at Daytona. Riot Motorsports, especially in their duels, was very impressive. Oh, some contact there between the 97 and the 12 of Wes Hurd Jr. Close call, just as we maybe gave him the announcer's jinx, so we'll leave him alone for just a moment. Alan Pajari has now taken the lead as the 95 of Musso has found himself leading the outside lane now. Three wide further back as Brett Spad gets into the outside wall again. You got to wonder here, is the 35 just starting to get a little bit tight? Not usually the way we see it go here, but certainly a possibility depending on how you have your car set up. Maybe a little bit more trimmed out. Not quite as much downforce. You certainly need handling here when you're running in the pack. But how about the speeds these guys get up to here? Again, 1.5 miles and one of the fastest ones of the season. That being shown right here in the dashboard feeds. Brett Spad trying to get it back together, but as we go back up front, Alan Pajari almost 190 miles an hour as they enter turn number 3. And you hear it there. He is not lifting out of the throttle. So when you're the leader here, you don't get to save any fuel. And while that may not be the most important thing right now, it's certainly going to be important later in this race. But I'm telling you, I think I'd want to be saving a little fuel right now. The less I have to take on that green flag pit stop, the better. And then again, taking a look at weather outside. We talked about it at the start of the broadcast. But again, pretty cool track temp, all things considered, about 94, partly cloudy skies and nice and calm winds. So handling a little bit better than what we would maybe normally expect to see. I think all the drivers certainly appreciate that. And We're seeing it in the great racing that we've had up to this point. So still too wide, about 10 rows deep. But up front, it is the 34 for Dynamic Autosports, Alan Pajari. He leads at Atlanta. We are going to take a quick break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. Back live at Atlanta Motor Speedway, 47 of 130 laps complete in the Atlanta Spring 200. And out in front as Alan Pajari was before we went to break. And there's been no change there. The outside, though, has started to slowly but surely make some ground back up. Again, being led by Jacob Musso, but Jeff Marble no longer the lead pusher. It is Jeff Shutt now. And so that 27, if he's able to get glued to the bumper here, the rear bumper, that 95 down the straights, they could make some serious progress here in the course of the next couple laps. I think that's what Jeff's trying to do. And, you know, again, these guys will be here in the trucks tomorrow night. Not all the Cup regulars, but a lot of the rookies that you see trying to make their way up to the Cup Series. But you'll see a couple guys in it. And the reason I mention that is because the trucks and the Xfinity cars, for that matter, drive so different than the Cup cars do here. I mean, the runs that you get in the Cup cars is just, I mean, it's ridiculous. And so these guys have to try to time it out. And speaking of timing, that was bad timing right there for Jacob Musso as he got up and maybe just skimmed the wall a little bit through 3 and 4. It made Jeff Shutt have to dive to the middle here. Looks like Musso's maybe going to cut him just a little bit of slack as cautions out. Trouble. Not sure where this one is. Quentin Clark. That's one of the rookies. Has come to a halt with damage. And the entry to turn number 1. Looks like he's able to get it back on the apron and gets rolling. And that is one of the Riot Motorsports drivers who we talked about has so much speed on these super speedways, but certainly not the way that he wants the front end of that Ford Mustang Dark Horse to look here with only 50 laps complete. So here's how it happens. Is in this lead group, and he's just kind of riding for the moment, but there's going to be a checkup, which is this whole checkup actually all stems from when Jeff Shutt has to split Jacob Musso 3 wide. In fact, we're going to go to the blimp cam. And so there you see the 27. Jeff Marble doesn't like what he sees, checks up. Fitzgerald checks up. The 16 checks up. And the stack up just amplifies the further back you go. The 00 has to check up. And watch what this does. This makes Danny Gutierrez have to make a decision. He goes to go to the middle, but then the 00 hits that outside wall. Scrubs off a ton of speed in an instant. Nothing Danny Gutierrez could do. And then once he gets sent down, once he gets hit, gets sent down into Brett's spot, and then goes for a bit of a slide, and man, lucky to not get T-boned here by anybody else. Man, there was a couple of close calls right there. There's another look at it. Boy, Brett Spod tried to miss it, but just nothing he could do there. You're committed to the bottom, full speed into corner entry, and that was a pretty hard hit for the 35 as well, but the 00 definitely still getting the worst of this one as he's going to lose his track position, and going to have to hope that that damage is repairable enough to not bring an end to his race before we have even crossed the halfway marker. Take another look here from the TV tower. And so it's initially fine, but again, we talk about the quad oval. A couple guys have tagged that outside wall here tonight as we come on the exit of the tri-oval, and it's pretty unforgiving. And in that case, kind of wrong place, wrong time, but it all stemmed from that checkup. We saw, of course, with Jeff Shutt and Jacob Musso. So that chain reaction, no different than what we saw last week at Daytona or in the duels. We'll take one final look there from the TV static cam. Goes for a slide and a puff of smoke. And everybody else able to drive by with no further damage. In fact, I actually want to take one more view of this here for Brett Spod and show you what he was trying to work with here. Is this wreck's almost a blindside in terms of, I mean, he sees it at the last second and tries to check up, but I mean, it's just nothing you can do, just too little too late. Overall able to save the car though, so you got to hope for the BMP Racing driver the damage isn't too bad. We saw his teammate have to retire early after being involved in an unfortunate lap 1 accident, and yeah, looks like they buffed the nose out pretty good. So he should be ready to go back green here with no issues, just as we are back up front, because the lights on the pace car are going to go off. It's Jared Bundy being scored as your leader for the moment on the outside. I think it might actually be Pajari, though. He's being scored in second for the moment. Be a little surprised here, though, if Jared Bundy decided to take the top. Could be the case, and just doesn't know if that'd be the right call. I'm thinking it is Alan Pajari who is your leader here. Bill Benedict back on third. Tyler Marble fourth. Kenneth Bartholomew in fifth. Tracy Powers 6th. Troy Baker 7th. Jeff Shutt 8th. Ryan Sherrod 9th. And Jacob Musso rounding out your top 10. Well, you know, I mean, we kind of could have all guessed that yellow would have brought everybody down the pits, and tell you that is exactly what it did. Nobody staying out. There's no point. I mean, you've been running 50 laps on a set of tires and 50 laps worth of fuel, so come in, top off, and now maybe this does become a little bit of a fuel mileage race. We said right around 70 laps or so if you're saving, as long as you're back in the pack. And we're going to go back green here with pretty much just that, just under 70 laps to go here at Atlanta. So maybe not the best time to be the leader, but you certainly don't want to give up all your track position, as we know that may not end well in of itself. So pace car is going to make the hard left turn here for the second time here tonight, first time on a restart, as we've wrapped up our first caution after over 50 laps of green flag racing. Not too bad. Here we go. Dynamic Auto Sports versus SWM Motorsports. Green flag is back in the air. Going to be 53 laps. We cross the stripe. Pajari misses a gear. This will cause a stack up on the inside. The outside gets a flying restart. They're all going to go by, but I'm more concerned right now about all the checking up that we've got out back. Can everybody hold it together? 3 wide right here with Roger Shelton on the outside. 12 of Wes Hurt in the middle there. And then how about the 9 of Mark Zabak, the Canadian driver in the field? Was on the inside, but he's going to be able to get clear, and they'll go back to double file. Meanwhile, up front, Tyler Marble able to get Jared Bundy out to a comfortable lead after that great restart. When the inside just did not get going there. It was really surprising to see, but not sure if Pajari just made a mistake and missed a shift. Tracy Powers, though, got a chance to jump down in front of Pajari on his inside. He took full advantage of it. Now he's going to be trying to make his way dead even with the 3, and that's just what he's going to do. A dead heat off of turn number 2 as they race down the back straightaway. And all this 2x2 action gives everybody that's not up here leading one of these lanes a chance to save fuel and top on board here and see if we can animate that for you here just a little bit. Again, as they go down the straight here, full throttle, you can kind of see it there on the dashboard. he's not lifting as he hits almost 190 again down the front stretch. You go back here in traffic, we'll go to the inside lane here. For a guy like Brandon Saylor, I mean, much less throttle time overall. He's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he's maybe 80% for most of the lap here, especially when he closes up here. Yeah, you hear him lifting into the corner, so not only is he going to be saving himself a little bit extra fuel as he does that, but he's going to save some tires too by not running quite as hard here in the early portion of the going. And so 2x2 all the way back. Nobody daring to take it 3 wide just yet. It's a side-by-side battle for who can push their guy to the lead in the front. And then it seems like right now the preferred lane may be the top. Pajari liked it. He jumped back up there. He'll get a push now from Jared Bundy. He's going to get the 34 clear. Now he gets himself clear as well as they enter turn number 3. And we'll see, does Bundy decide to jump down? He's still got it for the moment. Maybe no. He's going to stay up, but him and Pajari are rolling right now. Telling you, with these next gens, if you get the momentum at the right spot, you'd be amazed at how far you can go before you've got to lift or switch lanes to keep the momentum up. But Jared Bundy finally pushed him out far enough where he decided he wanted to jump to the inside. Now we got a lapper coming up. Man, close call for a minute. That's what it looked like it was going to be right there for Cody Matthews, but respectfully pulls off the track. Veteran move. So he's going to let all these guys go by without any further trouble as he merges up. That'll cause some trouble out back. All trying to save it here. It looks like they do. You see the one of Rodney Pitcock with some pretty significant damage on the front of his car as well. This Toyota Camry, I'm not sure what he hit, but that's certainly going to affect the aero on that car for the rest of the way. Is just behind him, he's got a little help right now from Michael Mueller, but Michael, another one of the rookies, not going to stick around for long. He's already up a couple positions from where he started this race at. And the driver out of Greenfield, Wisconsin wants a couple more here. And this battle, keep your eyes on it because it does have the 17 and the 13. That is Kyle Oakley and Nick Sitchie. Haven't had a chance to talk about these two too much here on the night, but you knew it was just a matter of time for Oakley before he was going to start trying to make his way to the front. Problem is he's back in 28th. He's starting to maybe slowly but surely run out of time. We'll see what he does the rest of the way there. As does a little driving and talking for the moment. So we head back to the front of the field now. 3 wide, Tracy Powers in the middle. The 08 of Danny Gutierrez on the bottom. And this is where it starts to get really dicey. These guys racing a lot harder than maybe we expected here for only lap 60. Bartholomew is trapped in the middle of the 95. Moose on the outside. Who gets the push? It looked like it was going to be Bartholomew, but he bails out of it. He'll jump down to the inside. And the Gerber collision in a glass 73 Chevy Camaro is quickly going to be able to recover. But now that we're 60 laps in, we're about 5 from halfway. And so again, not expecting a pit stop here, depending on how much you save. I think if you're these front two right now, Bundy and Alan Pajari, maybe you're a little bit more worried, but anybody back again in this big group, you're just cruising right now. And if they had a cruise control button, you'd probably be using it, but no point in burning any extra fuel. Save the tires. You want them for the end of the run. And, you know, the outside has some more potential, but I think the general expectation is that you're burning more tires by being up there because you got to push it a little bit harder into the corner to maintain speed. There you see the 64 of Glenn Grigsby. They're going to go by him. Started out as a decent night, but fortunately things not quite going the way the 64 would like them to right now. Glenn Grigsby, again, one of the independent drivers last season, but you love to see that he was able to hop on a team this year with SWM. I think we're going to see a lot of progress out of Grigsby as we move on through the season. Showed some speed in the duels, and then, of course, at Daytona at different portions in the race, but not quite the way he wanted that race to end nonetheless. As he falls another lap down, he will see if he can stay in this pack, maybe hope for a quick caution and see if he can get one of those laps back. And in fact, right now, 33 cars still on the lead lap, at least for the moment. And remember, we started this race with 39, so a pretty full field here tonight. And speaking of that lucky dog, if we were to get a caution right now, Danny Gutierrez would get his lap back. And next up in line is Adam Johnson. And so you're going to see a little battle in between those two. And then we have a couple cars that are actually multiple laps down. But how about this? Single file at the front for about the first probably 12 to 15 cars. And then Taio Polito back here where the double file action begins. Tracy Powers, boy, he has been trying to mix it up all night, looking for any spots he can get and looking to work with any lane that's got momentum. But right now you're starting to see the cream of the crop rise to the top with the 3 of Jared Bundy still leading the way. He has shown a lot of speed here tonight. Alan Pajari in second. No surprise. Dynamic Autosport talked about the speed they've had from last year with Austin Fitzgerald getting that win in the spring. By the way, Pajari up 16 in total from where he started this race at. Bill Benedict is up 6. Currently rounding out your podium, Kenneth Bartholomew back in 4th. Jeffrey Souza 5th. Tracy Powers 6th. Tyler Marvel in 7th with Jeff Shutt 8th. Jacob Musso in 9th. Troy Baker rounding out your top 10. Brandon Saylor 11th. Austin Fitzgerald 12th. Ty Iopolito in 13th. That's how it's looking right now. And by the way, I don't know if we're going to get a chance to see it here tonight. I guess if somebody has to, be a different story. But since we're not expecting green flag pit stops, this will not apply. But a new rule that actually Jeff, one of the admins and of course league owner, decided to add here tonight was the real life rule for pit stops. And that was that you had to have your car below the apron entering turn number 3. You didn't have to slow down to a certain speed, but you had to get that car below the apron before the transition onto the banking as you enter turn 3 and stay there until you made it to the pits, and then of course slow down. And that's an interesting rule because, you know, I was wondering how tricky it'd be for these guys if they had to try to do that here tonight, but not going to have to worry about it here because with 67 laps complete, we are now a couple over halfway, and again, we know that they can make it about 70 laps on a fuel running in the pack. And when we hit lap 70, that'll become to 50 laps to go, so they should be good to go the rest of the way. But about 20 laps in from the previous restart, the only restart we've had of the night. Jared Bundy still up front, Pajari second, Bill Benedict rounding out the podium. We'll be right back. Stick with us at Atlanta. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway here. No real change to the lead. Jared Bundy still doing his thing out front, but I think I may have led to a little bit of confusion there just before the break, talking about, of course, when we hit lap 70, I initially said that'd make it 50 to go. It's 130 tonight, so that would actually make it 60 laps to go. And so all of a sudden that changes a couple things. Based off when we went back green, I no longer know to say for sure that these guys can actually make it the rest of the way here without making a green flag stop. And I mean, hey, that's more entertainment for us if we get to see them try to make this pit stop. But as it stands right now, again, now a little bit more up on the fence. Still could be potentially reasonable. I think I remember from the NIS races, you could make it maybe 75 if you were really stretching it. Not sure if these guys can quite make it that far. I'm thinking they can't. So all of a sudden now, it makes a lot more sense why they're fighting as hard as they are for the track position. Because if you know you got to pit anyway, you might as well get up here, get whatever position you can, and then have a better spot for when we make this last green flag pit stop. But it is going to be a chaotic one, trying to get onto the pits from the backstretch. Not an easy thing to do, especially when there's no speed limit. So guys, going to be going as fast as they can on that apron. And again, it is banked down there, but some marbles, a little slippery. You got to be careful. But right now, the 2x2 action is currently back right around the third and fourth row. Danny Gutierrez, Bill Benedict, and they really haven't been able to pull much closer than that. Alan Pajari has got a lot of speed in that 34 Dark Horse Mustang tonight, because he has been able to easily keep the three of Jared Bundy out in front, at least during this run. So no real change or threat to change for the current moment. Danny Gutierrez, you see he's now made his way up there, currently behind Bill Benedict. Maybe thinks about jumping to the outside if he's got to run, but I just think that maybe at a certain point this outside starts to fade slowly as that bottom maybe starts to dominate, but you never know. We'll have to see which lane's better. Again, we took a look at weather earlier. Cooler track temp usually kind of helps that inside out, but the outside has not completely fallen out of the question just yet. In this pack, we talked about the damage that the one machine of Rodney Pitcock had earlier, but doesn't seem to be affecting him too bad. He's still been able to hang pretty strong, and right now sits behind the 35 of Brett Spod. Brett Spod currently sitting just behind Roger Shelton in the 42. Austin Fitzgerald back in that 15th spot. And if you're looking for a guy to watch and know when it's time to go to the front, look no further than the 74 machine. Talk about the speed that he's got. And he knows how to do it here at a track like Atlanta. Saw him do it last season. Looking to see if he can do it again. Driver out of Las Vegas, Nevada, excuse me. See what he can do here tonight. A couple people in the chat. Hope you guys are having a good night. Looks like Pat's fan says, I smell another 3-wide finish. Certainly possible. We saw a great one in that win that I was just mentioning that Austin Fitzgerald got with a close finish, and never know what we could see here tonight. And then Pony Car Garage says, shout out to Kenneth Bartholomew. Absolutely, Kenneth. Another good run for him here on the night. He's currently up 6 positions from where he started this race at. And of course, at the start of the broadcast, had the tribute lap where he paid tribute to a dear friend and a close friend in Erica Taylor, who unfortunately lost her battle with cancer just recently. So he honors her tonight on the car with that scheme, and seeing again if he can maybe score a victory. Well, you know that would mean a lot here tonight, and he's doing everything right. He's playing his cards correct at the moment, but we still have what is now 50 laps to go in this race. Still plenty of time for things to happen, and we know that one caution can change it all. One thing, though, to note from this run, based off what we saw at least from the last run, is not really a separation of packs. Everybody made sure to do their homework and try to stay right at the front of this group. Now, we do have a couple guys that are not with the lead pack, but definitely not the big pack that we saw during that last run. In fact, right now as it stands, the 31st position running car of Thomas O'Hara, currently the last man in this lead pack. Saw some glimmers of speed from him last season when it mattered most. We're going to see more of the same, but maybe more of a full-time schedule this season for O'Hara. Anthony Handley leading this second pack, and the only other pack on the track right now, just in front of him, is Cody Matthews, but that is not for position. So the 98 of Handley, another one of the rookies, and he is going to need a caution as it stands at the current moment. Scott Glasso, good to see him making his return here tonight. Just behind him, Danny Gutierrez, but not behind him because Danny is with that lead pack again, fighting to see if he can get one of those laps back, potentially the hard way. Quentin Clark and Adam Johnson are back in this group. Glenn Grigsby is with the leaders, and then Cody Matthews, who we talked about leading that pack, and Ryan Haynes, the driver out of Center Hill, Florida, currently sitting in that last spot, 39th, and just ahead of the 4 machine of Scott Glasso. Back to the front, single file still for the first 3 to 4 cars, but then they have still remained double file. Now, though, starting to have a couple guys bail out to the bottom. Sometimes that is the universal signal for pit stops. So we'll keep an eye on this top lane. Watch, does it continue to die, or it's just maybe trying to get a little bit of a resurgence right now of momentum. And you see right there, just as they went into turn 3 before they hit the banking, that's where they have to get below the apron. And they've got to ride that all the way around right there to where you see the pit entry as the drivers go by it at about 190 miles an hour. So again, going to be very tricky if they do indeed have to make that stop. So if you're Jared Bundy, you got to feel probably the most comfortable, but still not super comfortable. If you make one mistake, you can cost yourself the race and a chance at a win here early in the season, which again can do leaps and bounds for a driver in terms of just strictly confidence, but in terms of raw speed and consistency, Jared Bundy has checked all the boxes here tonight. And a nice job up to this point. Further back, a couple guys look like they're starting to get a little bit more antsy here as they fan out. Still 2x2 for the most part, but 3 wide, maybe daring as the 1 car. No, Rodney Pitcock, I think just ducking out for a little bit of air. You got to wonder if that damage is affecting how that car cools at all. So right now, just behind him on the outside, actually Brandon R. Saylor in that 24 car. On the inside, that's a good-looking Exalta scheme. Looks like a throwback to the Jeff Gordon days. 95 of Jacob Musso. We saw him lead some laps here tonight. He's wrapping the bottom as well for the moment. As now 87 going to be coming to 88, almost to that lap 90 mark, which would be 40 laps to go here. And remember, the fuel window is about 60, depending on how much you want to stretch it. The point is, they're well inside the fuel window at this point. So anybody who makes a stop this lap or anywhere after this lap, they're going to be good to go the rest of the way. But you're not going to see any takers yet. I think maybe we see a lot of them wait till at least right around that lap 100 mark. Maybe go in and then get back out, get yourself situated, and get organized enough to go catch any of these little spread out packs that you're going to need to try to do after that final green flag stop. About the 19 of Ty Ippolito. I know we talked about him a little bit earlier, been mentioning him a couple times throughout the race, but don't give him enough credit for what he has done. Again, coming into the season as a rookie, got put on one of the best teams you could be put on, and boy, he has taken full advantage of the opportunity at this point. Currently riding behind Glenn Grigsby. Again, that is not for position, but every lap that he's up here, he's getting experience in the draft, learning something new. We'll see if he's able to apply that at the end of the race, just as he did at Daytona last week. And now, speaking of Daytona last week and the craziness that we had towards the end of that race, let's take a look here at what points are looking like after the first race of the season and coming into the second. And so I feel like, to a degree, again, shouldn't come as a surprise that Jake Hickson currently leading the way. And again, did get the win last week at Daytona, I do believe. And again, I didn't actually catch the race, and I hope I'm not getting the two guys swapped up. I know, again, Hickson and Ippolito are teammates, and we saw Ippolito actually win his duel. But then last week when we saw the actual race, towards the end of it, again, all the chaos that broke out and the crazy things that happened. But at the end of the day, it was Dynamic Autosports bringing home yet another winner. And that winner came in the form of Jake Hickson. Again, one of the rookies, but his teammate was right there helping him, just as they were doing in the duels, but maybe a little bit reversed this time. Taking a look, though, at how points do shape up. Again, it is Hickson leading the way. Danny Gutierrez second. Ty Ippolito back in third. Jeff Marble fourth. Brett Spod in fifth. Ken Bartholomew in sixth. Scott Glasso seventh. Michael Mueller in eighth. Bill Benedict in ninth. And Andrew Russo rounding out your top 10. And again, these points are going to change each and every race. Take a look at the schedule ahead. Again, next week, we head to the first true mile and a half, as a lot of drivers would probably refer to it. And that is Sin City, Las Vegas Motor Speedway for 134 laps back in the Cup cars. Then we go to Phoenix, followed by another short track in Bristol. Not sure where we're racing yet on March 25th, but we're getting April kicked off with Richmond, Richmond followed by Martinsville, Texas, and then Talladega on April 22nd. The next No Bull 5 race, Daytona was the first one, so we'll be keeping an eye on that points tab and talk more about that as well. But right now, a lot of good tracks coming up, a lot of opportunities for a lot of different guys to make something happen, get your name out there. Let everyone know that you are a contender and you came this season to race. Oh, wrecking out back, one into the wall hard. Now he's going to go around. That's the one of Pitcock. Tried to save it, couldn't do it. And Rodney Pitcock involved in an accident here on lap 93. You see him there on the driver cam. As he gets it back sorted out, he just tows it immediately. And that might bring his race to an unfortunate end. Not the way he wanted to see it go. Let's go back, take a look at this one here before we turn our attention to the pits. So here you go, the 12. Ooh, Westherd Jr. pushing off the corner. That's a pretty big no-no here. Let's see if that's exactly what causes this, or if there's something maybe just after. Certainly looks like what it's going to be. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Pretty similar to what we saw with Alan Pajari earlier. Pushed on the back bumper of, I believe it was Jeff Shutt. Yeah, indeed. And I mean, just you going for it. Again, we're starting to get to those latter portions of the race. You start getting a little bit more desperate, start trying to do a little bit more, and unfortunately this time just did just a little bit too much here. Take a look. And man, that's pretty good contact into the outside wall. And then see getting collected as well. There was the 6 machine with nowhere to go of Todd Shiro, who's having a good night. And then you see the 13 involved as well. He also had nothing he could do. That was Nick Sitchie. Take a couple more angles here. First from the onboard view for the 1 machine. And we'll actually go to the gearbox here and show what that pushing looks like here. It's such a delicate balance, and it's such a fine line that it's just a little too much. Didn't mean to do it, but got to think the 1 car is not too happy. And then there you see the 13 of Nick Sitchie commit to the outside. Unfortunately, that's where the cars were, and they did not slide down, so he barrels into it. Looked like there, arriving on the scene was either Brett Spott or Ryan Haynes. Looks like it was Ryan Haynes. He ducks out to miss this one here. Take one more final view of this here from TV2. Boy, man, Shiro saw the light of day for just a second. Tried to jump to the outside right as the 1 started coming back up the track. Gives him all the damage that he received from there. And remember, with no fast pairs, you got to go in and get whatever damage you have fixed optionally. So sometimes that kind of effect here is Jeff Marble showing all these guys had to stop for the pace car here, maybe in a pretty brief hurry. Maybe slow down a little too much. Ooh, you see the checkups beginning. A lot of big checkups. Everybody slamming on the brakes hard to make it to the pits. This is under caution too, mind you. And Jeff didn't like his chances there. Didn't feel like he was going to be able to make it safe, and that could be a big, big problem for the 15 if he was not able to bring it down to the pits, because you usually get a penalty if you don't make that first stop. We'll see if he accepts that penalty or what he does. But yeah, really surprised that Jeff Marble made that decision. But I mean, maybe not so much. He didn't really have much of a choice. And they're going to extend the caution too. You heard it there as we go back live to take a look at exactly why. Maybe going to try to get some of the scoring set up here. But as it stands for the moment, and again, I believe this might change, but Jeff Marble, followed by Bill Benedict in 2nd, Jeffrey Souza 3rd, Alan Pajari in 4th, Jared Bundy 5th, Jeff Shutt in 6th, Austin Fitzgerald 7th with Tyler Marble 8th, Kenneth Bartholomew in 9th, Jay Kickson running out your top 10. So unfortunate news for Rodney Pitcock. You see it there, looks like he is rounding it up for the night as he puts the VR away, and he's going to unplug the wheel. Not the way he wanted things to end, but good run tonight, showed a lot of promise. We'll be keeping a close eye on him over the course of the next couple races. And so as these guys get things sorted out, this is normally where we would go talk to a driver. We might do that here if they can take the 1 to go without too much of an issue. Tell you what, we're going to see if tonight we can talk first off to a man who's been up at the front pretty much the entire race. Been the pusher, been the leader, he's done it all, and you gotta wonder if that experience is paying off right now for Alan Pajari. Let's see if we can get a quick word with him here. Hey, Alan, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, I know you guys are getting ready for the restart, but I wanted to grab you for a quick moment and talk about the race you've had up to this point. I mean, you've been leading, you've been pushing, you've done it all. How have you felt about your race so far?
I feel pretty good. You know, I've just been aggressive, really aggressive. So we'll just say it that way. But I feel pretty good about it, you know. Kind of hoping I don't end up in one of those little late race wrecks, you know what I mean?
Well, speaking of those late race wrecks, now that with this caution, everybody good to go on fuel the rest of the way, how does that change your approach? Do you get more aggressive, keep the same aggressiveness, or do you maybe turn it down here and watch for some of the big wrecks we might see towards the end of this?
No, keep the same aggressiveness because I'm up near the front, so I'm just going to keep on going as fast as I possibly can, lead if I possibly can, and now since I don't have to worry about any kind of length of pit stop because I had to get more fuel than other people, and it's time to go.
Well, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. You got a good strategy so far. We'll keep an eye on you the rest of the way. Good luck, and thanks for talking to us.
Yep, thank you.
Alan Pajari, initial owner of Dynamic Auto Sports before him and Austin Fitzgerald became partners middle portions of last season, where Fitzgerald went on to put on a clinic the rest of the way. Both drivers, of course, making the playoffs. As Sam Baker says, what is the caution for? I missed it. It was an incident involving Rodney Pitcock. We showed a couple replays. If we get a chance, we'll let you know or show you another one. But right now, we'll keep all eyes up front because the green flag is back in the air. 98 laps complete of 130 here at Atlanta. Jeff Marble on the inside. The outside, Bill Benedict. It's a dead heat as they get up and going through the gears. Diving into turn one. The outside has got to stay close. You don't want to let Jeff Marble get clear if you're wanting to stay in the lead. And when we saw Pajari and Jared Bundy out in front, it was the bottom that was dominant. How does that change now that you got Pajari up top and Bundy buried a couple rows deep? Marble fading a little bit here. You see just behind him, he's got the 96 of Souza. First time Souza's actually been up here in the top 3 here on the night. So got to wonder, is he just a little bit uncomfortable right now with Marble as he tries to give him a push there. Gets him a little out of shape, but Marble's able to save it and they continue on. On that outside, man, Pajari is really pushing the envelope here. Looked like he was actually doing a little bit of pushing right there to Bill Benedict in the corners. And we talked about how risky that was, but as we get into the late portions of this race, risk versus reward, and Pajari felt like the aggression's been working for him so far, so he's going to stick with what's working as they work onto the front stretch. Look at the pushing right now from both lanes. In fact, Souza doesn't even have to quite push as hard on Jeff Marble's bumper, and he's still able to keep him out in front. Shows you the importance of that clean air for the moment, but a lot of people think once you get to the front, it's nice and smooth. Oh, we saw some contact there. They're going to wreck. The big one on the backstretch here. And this is going to collect a whole bunch of cars. They are still wrecking. This is a mess. Johnny McCulchuk's in it. The 19 of Tai Ippolito's in it. The 20, Ryan Shiro. Just after lap 100. Oh my goodness. Well, just as we were getting ready to hop on a different view there for Jeff Marble, you saw Benedict get out of shape, and unfortunately I have a pretty good idea of how this is going to start. We just had the conversation about risk versus reward. Pajari had been really putting a lot of risk on the rear bumper here of Bill Benedict, and it was working, trying to push him to the front, but there you see it's not taking much here tonight. These cars are planted until they're not, and Pajari just got ever so slightly offset to the left coming out of the corner. I got Benedict loose, got him down into the inside lane. Once they came back up, the wreck was on from here, and you see the 96, the 90, and the 34 all go up into the outside wall. And then we had almost a secondary wreck here, if you will. 25 of Powers, 72 of McCulchuk. A lot of good race cars torn up in this wreck, with just over 100 laps complete. Let's take a couple more looks here. First one from the TV tower. As they see this wreck start to happen, and yeah, you have a choice as a race car driver, and sometimes it's so hard, especially at a track this narrow. When you see them wrecking, a lot of times there's a couple gaps that are open, and you got to decide, do you want to try to check up, let the wreck pass, or do you put it to the floor and try to shoot the gap you see open and hope it works out? I think that's what a couple of these guys tried to do. Again, a lot of rookies in the field, and yeah, it did not work out for a lot of them there, and you saw some big hits the latter portion of this wreck. Go back and take a look here. I want to go on board with Brett's spot. As like he had a pretty crazy view through this, and it looked for a minute there like maybe he missed this. Couldn't tell if he got any damage, so here we go. Oh yeah, it does make some contact on the front end with a couple of different cars, but looked like ultimately not too bad. I mean, I think he's okay to continue, but gonna wonder how fast that car is going to be out leading a draft here at Atlanta. And we'll take one more view here from the TV one cam. There's just, nowhere to go. I mean, you see they're already blocking about half the back straightaway on the high side. So now everybody's going to try to dive low, and the problem is you start to get too many cars jumping to the low side, and there you see the initial contact there. Tai Ippolito getting into Tracy Powers. That sends him into the 20. So it almost looked like maybe there was a chance that initially everybody was going to miss this, but unfortunately just things did not quite work out that way. And then there's a pretty big hit for Tracy Powers, Johnny McCulchuk, and then more contact there. 72, the 4, Scott Glasso. See the 9 of Mark Zabak as well. And so the big one, you knew it was just a matter of time. Now that it has struck, tends to be the time where all hell starts to break loose here. 103 of 130 laps complete. This restart's going to give us 27 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line. Austin Fitzgerald, no surprise here. The man that got the job done last season, right back where he belongs at Atlanta. Looking to see if he can go 2 for 2, get a race or a win here last season and a win here this season. And on his outside is going to be Jeff Shutt, one of the great drivers and guys that helped sponsor the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Of course, Capital Auto Group, you see it on the hood, and the rest of his Chevy Camaro. And I'll tell you what, I just continue to see this guy improve and impress more and more. The iRating says it all. 4,200 is by no means a sour iRating. He's got plenty of talent, and I think he just needed to make a couple adjustments when he first got here to the league. Has done so, and since, boy, has he really became a factor, and it's going to be a big factor again this season. How about the 16, the rookie Jake Hickson? Talked about your winner last week at Daytona. He still has a chance to go back-to-back here. Currently going to be rolling off 5th for this restart. And here we go. Back into the restart zone. 27 laps to go at Atlanta. Green flag is back in the air. Side by side as they make the dive for turn number 1. Still getting up to speed. In fact, takes these cars about a lap as they climb the 29-degree banking. You see Tyler Marble, he's got to run. What does he decide to do? The rookie Kenneth Bartholomew, he's going to have a choice too. Looks like all 4 of those first guys that are all single file, they're going to stay single file. No move up top, so now the field up top in the hands of Jeff Shutt and Jacob Musso. And there is no momentum. They're going to get some help, though. The 42 of Roger Shelton jumps up. That's going to pull the 27 up to his bumper. He'll get a push through the tri-oval into turn number 1. And you saw Pajari showing what it takes to make that outside work. You got to stick really close. Maybe even risk a little bit of pushing. I don't know about just yet, but track temps cooled down a couple degrees again since what it's been for most of the race. So we'll see if that helps us inside out a little bit more. And again, no scheduled pit stops here the rest of the way. Not for fuel, not for tires, unless we get a caution. So it is all the battle for track position, but you don't want to make that move too early. It can cost you. Got to be really precise and really clean about how you make each and every one of these moves here on these next 25 laps. And if you're Fitzgerald, do you think about controlling these lanes, throwing a couple blocks, or do you hope everybody stays single file here until we get towards the end of this race? So it'll be 24 when they take or cross the stripes this time, rather. And the 42 still on the outside with Jacob Musso. But Roger Shelton just cannot seem to get any further towards the front than he is right now. About Brian Conklin, got to talk about him earlier. He was up here leading some laps. Unfortunately got involved in an incident between him and Jeff Shutt. Had a phenomenal save, but sent it to the back and out of the draft. He has since been fighting his way back up here. Now that he has broken back inside the top 15, almost back to the top 10 as he's going to split 3 wide right here in the middle. Always gets a little sketchy. Hold your breath here as Jacob Musso in the middle. Or excuse me, not Jacob Musso. I meant to say the 98 machine stuck in the middle of Anthony Hanley. That is another one of the rookies this season. And boy, he got treated like one right there. Nobody cut him a break. He had to make his own hole in order to jump back down in line. And so up front, how about this? You wouldn't have expected to see this with 25 laps to go, 23 rather, with the way the rest of this race was tonight. But it's a majority single file line here on the bottom. You see up top, we got a couple guys, including the rookie Jake Hickson, still trying to make something work, trying to get some momentum going. But nothing doing just yet. And I like this call, though, from the 16. You know, you're not going to win it in the last couple laps if you're back in 20th, 15th, even 10th. So you got to start getting up to the front. The sooner the better. And no surprise to see another one of the aggressive rookies, the 97 machine of Andrew Mraz. He likes where the 16's going. He's going to jump up to the top, and they're going to try to tandem all the way to the front. Boy, they're doing just that. That is 2 really fast Dark Horse Mustangs locked together, and already they are now up to Tyler Marble, and they're going to get a big side draft here off the 48. No help for Fitzgerald. We'll see, does he jump to the top here and cover it? No move yet. The 74 was hesitating, but he's going to stay to the bottom for now. How about new leader? And for the first time here on the night, it's Andrew Mraz in the 97 with a 16. He is going to dump to the low side before the 97 has a chance to cover it. Jake Hickson showing a lot of aggression, showing why he is so good at these plate tracks. Got the job done again last week. Looking to go back-to-back in 2 for 2 here on the season this week. Austin Fitzgerald now the lead pusher. We've seen what he's been able to do in the lead. Now we're going to find out what does that car have in terms of pushing potential. The outside, though, now. A lot of help here from Anthony Hanley. We talked about one of the rookies. Not a stranger either. Teammates to the 97, so I'm thinking they're going to stay probably pretty committed with each other here for most of the rest of this race. And then you see the 99 now of Michael Mueller, a third of those Ryan Motorsports drivers, making it a trio up here. And that's going to be a tough group to beat now that they've got the outside locked down. This is where guys are going to have to start thinking about maybe jumping to either the third lane or trying to get something going on the bottom, as now they are stretching it out on the outside. They have gotten clear by a couple car lengths on the 16 on the inside, and they're going to jump down here. The 97 goes to the bottom, and he'll get followed by one of his teammates. And it looks like Andrew Mraz, as he will keep the lead, jumps to the bottom. Now the 98 jumps back to the top. 2 by 2, no 3 wide just yet. Johnny McCulchuk, Jared Bundy, maybe watch right around this area, and even the 19, Ty Ippolito, one of those cars to jump up here to the top, try to make something work. But man, you're starting to see a lot of fishtailing, and I don't think that's so much to do with the grips falling off just yet. I think that's just these guys pushing that hard in the corners and down the straights. As we hit 17 laps to go, it is officially go time, at least from all the sights and sounds that we currently have in Atlanta. Before things get too out of hand, how about a little crank it up? Here we go. And that'll do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. I hope everybody did enjoy. 13 laps to go. One of the fastest mile and a halves in all of NASCAR. Here we go, back to the bottom now. The 98 this time is going to cover just in front of his teammate. And they were able to get broken up a little bit during our Crank It Up segment there. And that was part of the doing of Austin Fitzgerald and Jake Hickson. Those two look like they found some chemistry. No surprise because they're teammates. The 16, though, with a big wiggle right there as Fitzgerald gave him all he could handle. But again, with the pushes getting more aggressive, the chemistry's got to pick up soon, or you're going to fall to the back. So Fitzgerald decided, okay, well, listen, rookie, I know we're teammates, but I'm going to have to start getting a little bit more aggressive. And it's working out really well right now. 12 laps to go. But everybody further towards the back of this pack, they've got to start thinking about going to the front now if they want a chance at it. Or you sit in the back and maybe hope for the big wreck, which is certainly a possibility here on the night. How about Andrew Russo in the 88? Good recovery. We saw him involved in one of the last cautions that we had. And one of the Triad Racing Enterprises drivers, he's up 3 in the top 20 and still in the lead pack, which is a win with some of the chaos we've had here tonight. And in fact, we do have a second pack forming up. Brett Spott is the last car in the lead pack, and he's in 25th. So Tracy Powers is in 26th. Troy Baker, Mark Zabak. All these guys are trying desperately to catch the leaders. Not sure if they're going to have enough time or push to get there. as we come to 10 laps to go now at the stripe. Now notice that orange and white line on the bottom paints around the entirety of the inside lane around this whole racetrack. You cannot go below that line to gain position, and it's really tempting as a driver, especially on the front stretch, because it almost widens the front stretch, probably another 3 or 4 lanes, but cannot go down there to pass. If you're forced down there, it's a different story, but you go down there and gain a position, it will be a penalty. Jake Hickson still out in front. Man, what a storyline this would be if we have a rookie go 2 for 2 back-to-back in 2 of the toughest to win races, because at the end of the day, these tracks, they require plenty of skill, but you got to have that luck factor to make it to the end of these races and have a chance. Jake Hickson, combining those 2 things together tonight, has got himself out in front with 9 laps to go, but cannot count out Riot Motorsports. These boys have been doing a lot here on the night, especially towards the end of this race, and they've still got 3 teammates up here in the top 5, the 98, the 97, and the 99. Tyler Marble, Kenneth Bartholomew just behind them. Not sure if there's anywhere to go. I think if we see a 3rd lane, it's got to come from this outside. Question is going to be who takes that risk first. Both of the No Excuses Racing teammates, Johnny McCulchuk and Jeff Shutt, in the mix, and all of a sudden, it seems like all the teammates have found each other. Danny Gutierrez going to become a part of Team Marble iRacing at some point. Kyle Oakley, not the night he wanted earlier, but now it's certainly going the way he'd like to see it. Though with 6 laps to go, trying to gain a little bit more position, but no 3rd lane just yet. Still 2x2 up at the front. The 98 now, though, with a charge as he gets back clear the top. We'll see, does he jump up? If he does, he might get split. Doesn't look like he will. He feels comfortable in front of his teammate, so he's going to stay just there. Fitzgerald back to the bumper of Jake Hickson. They need a little bit more help from that 99, but that's a teammate to the other 2 Riot Motorsports cars, the 98 and the 97, so he may not be willing to get up there and push too aggressive, at least for the moment. So that outside is going to need something else. Not sure what it's going to be, but maybe a 3rd lane to stall out. I'm not sure, but right now they're starting to run out of laps. If you are anybody in about halfway or further back in this pack to get to the front, and I don't think it's going to be much longer before that 3rd lane forms. I do think you got some guys back here, such as the captain himself, Jeff Marble, where I think they realize, as a veteran and knowing the experience that they gained from these tracks and the seasons they've ran in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series, there's a chance that we still see another big one here towards the end of this race. Things get crazy, the moves start to get a lot more bold, and it only takes one little slip up to wreck the entirety of the field. If you miss it, though, you get yourself good track position. So I think that might be potentially what we're seeing a little bit from Jeff Marble right now, but going to be coming to 4 laps to go. Again, time really starting to wind down now. We are just about at the end of this 200-mile event, and now we're going to throw a couple lap cars into the picture as well. And these guys probably hoping that they're going to get out of the way. If not, it's going to fan them out 3 wide, and sometimes that's what you need to start to get the field spread out and separated. Create some of those runs, but it looks like 2 of them we're going to drop low, make it all 3 now. That's the 13 as well of Nick Sitchie, Quentin Clark. And so here we go, coming to 3 to go. Remember, if we can make it to the white flag, this race would be official. We saw a photo finish here last season. Can we get another one here to start off this season? How about the stats? Up 27 positions for Anthony Hanley, and then right now Jake Hickson up 18 positions. So you've got 2 rookies battling it out for the lead. You got a bunch more rookies still inside the top 5. Kenneth Bartholomew in the top 10. But some of the veterans looking to see if they can head back to victory lane. The man I'm talking about is Austin Fitzgerald. But right now, all he's focused on is trying to keep his teammate out in front. Teammate first, move second. 2 laps now to go. 3 miles left to decide a winner in the Atlanta Spring 200. 2x2 up front and all the way through the rest of this pack. No disorganization just yet. We're getting a couple takers all the way towards the back. Look like Ty Ippolito may have gave it a thought, but if they make it through 3 and 4 right here, this will be to take the white flag, and that will make this race official. Starting to see the 3 wide really form towards the back. Jared Bundy gets split, but here we go. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go at Atlanta. Jake Hickson, Austin Fitzgerald, they're going to stay locked up the rest of the way. Fitzgerald trying to line him up for one more big push down the back straightaway. Now he gets some help from the 99 on the bottom. Fading now is Anthony Hanley. He's got help, but the run's just not there. Hickson with one more big run. Does he jump to the bottom, or does he stay up top with his teammate? Final time through 3 and 4. Jake Hickson, he did it last week, and now no run to cover. He's going to do it again this week. Back-to-back wins for the rookie. He gets it done at Atlanta. What a start to the season for Dynamic Autosport and Jake Hickson. 2 starts, 2 wins, and another 1-2 finish for Dynamic Autosports. We saw it in the duels, saw it last week, and we see it again here tonight. Well, if we needed to crown a king of Speed Weeks, boy, I think we just did that right there. And if we needed to crown a king in terms of team for Speed Weeks, I think we did it again there as well. So come around here, maybe going to see a little bit of a dual burnout here. No, Fitzgerald will continue by, so burns it down, and he is celebrating as he should. Jake Hickson is your winner here tonight, officially at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Taking a look at the way the rest of the results shape up. Second place finisher, Austin Fitzgerald. Again, a good run for him. Makes it a 1-2 for Dynamic Autosports. How about Michael Mueller rounding out your podium here on the night? Anthony Hanley back in 4th. Ryan Shiro 5th. Jeff Shutt in 6th. Andrew Mraz in 7th. Tyler Marble back in 8th. Kenneth Bartholomew in 9th. And Brandon Saylor, good comeback for him, rounding out your top 10. Johnny McCulchuk for No Excuses Racing. He finishes 11th. Jeff Marble back in 12th. Kyle Oakley in 13th. Brian Conklin in 14th. Jared Bundy 15th. Danny Gutierrez in 16th. Roger Shelton 17th with Thomas O'Hara back in 18th. Rounding out your top 20 is Jacob Musso and Bill Benedict. Andrew Russo finishes 21st. Taio Polito finishes 22nd. Brett Spod 23rd. Jeffrey Souza 24th. Scott Glasso 25th. Mark Zabak in 26th. Tracy Powers 27th. Troy Baker 28th. Adam Johnson in 29th. And Todd Shiro rounding out your top 30. Alan Pajari finishes 31st. Glenn Grigsby in 32nd. Cody Matthews 33rd with Quentin Clark in 34th. Nick Sitchie 35th. Matthew Gearinger in 36th. Wes Hurd Jr. in 37th. Ryan Haynes 38th. Running the field tonight, Rodney Pitcock. He finishes in 39th. All right, well, we are going to go get your top 3, including your winner here tonight, for some interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Atlanta. All right, back live at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're going to start first tonight with your 3rd place finisher, Michael Mueller. Michael, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good. Well, a good run tonight. Kind of came a little bit out of nowhere there towards the end. Of course, running up in the pack for most of the day. But, man, were things quite as chaotic as you were expecting at the end? And how did you still maneuver through all of it to bring home that last podium spot?
Yeah, it's pretty much everything I expected, to be fair. I mean, we didn't qualify the greatest as a team in general, so it kind of had to start in the back anyways, and wanted to ride for a little bit. I got damaged before even the green flag, so kind of had to nurse that all day, and then just finally had to go for it at the end and hope, just kind of find your line and just hopefully the cards fall, I guess.
Well, not only are you a rookie, but you're on a team pretty much full of rookies, and the job that you guys have done right out of the gate for this season is, I mean, it's phenomenal. We've already seen the domination through Speed Weeks, but overall, I mean, when you come out as a team full of rookies, how do you guys get the chemistry so good together in just a couple races?
It's been fun. I mean, we practice all week together. We've been racing for a while together, so building sets and putting all the laps in during the week is, we're used to it every single week. It's just we kind of use this and NIS as a good test every single week, and we just all mesh really well. We all know what we're going to do before we even do it or even say it. So we just got to keep the ball rolling. We didn't get the finishes we wanted last week, and this week we kind of put our heads down and grinded a little bit, and we got a good finish out of it as a team.
Yeah, certainly did. Well, hey, before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Absolutely. All my teammates. We work so well together, and without those guys, especially at these kind of tracks, we wouldn't be half as good. Sim coaches, Bowlify, that's my sponsor outside of iRacing as a bowler. If you need jerseys, go to bowlify.com, use promo code Mueller300, get 5% off your purchase of $50. Really appreciate that. And then everybody at Riot Motorsports, we do a great job together, and then you guys in the booth and the league in general.
We appreciate you talking to us. Congrats on the third place finish here on the night, and we will see you back out here next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right, now that's going to bring us to your second place finisher here on the night, Austin Fitzgerald. Austin, this is Austin in the booth. Got a copy.
Hey, I got you.
Well, you got the win here last season, so no surprise to see you up here finishing in the top 3, but kind of walk us through those last few laps. You had a teammate, but of course, at the end of the day, still a rookie in front of you. And boy, you guys worked so good together. You get Jake Hickson another win. How'd you do it?
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, like, I feel like I won that race just as much as he did. Even if I got the opportunity to jump down there, I wasn't. You know, I just wanted to push him to the win. He deserved it. He's a Speedway king, but yeah, I think if it just worked out, the strategy worked out. We both took 2 right sides on that last pit stop to get to the front, because when we were back there, we just weren't moving. So we took just the right sides, and it worked out. The car felt better than all night, at least on the high side, and yeah, I mean, just Dynamic Autosports really taking off these first 2 races.
Yeah, certainly are. I mean, we saw the additions. Didn't know if I expected it coming into the season, but you bring on a couple rookies, and boy, they have not disappointed so far. When you guys were doing the scouting, how did you decide on these 2? And ultimately, what kind of coaching have you and Alan been giving them to make them have this sort of progress this early?
All those guys, they've been here before me. I mean, I guess they're rookies in the league, but when it comes to iRacing and racing, they're veterans for sure. So yeah, we were just able to convince them to come run this league with us, and that's exactly what Alan and I needed, was, you know, teammates, especially on these speedway races where we can all work together.
Yeah, well, that certainly showed tonight in the chemistry. But hey, before we let you head out tonight to enjoy your second place finish and go celebrate with your teammate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Like always, shout out to my wife and my kids and my sponsor, Acoustic Design Systems. If you're in Las Vegas area, you have any audio video needs, go to acousticdesignlv.com. Thank you. It's nice to have you back broadcasting again, Austin. Your broadcasts are great. They're fun to watch. They're fun to show my family and friends. And thanks to everybody who puts in the hard work to run this league.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats on second, and we'll see you out here next week.
Yep, see ya.
All right, and now that's going to bring us to your not just winner here tonight, but 2-time back-to-back winner, Jake Hickson. Jake, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
10-4, loud and clear, Austin.
Well, I mean, I'm learning some things here that maybe you're not quite as much of a rookie as you seem, especially with the performance that we've seen the last 2 races. How do you come flying out of the gate? You win at Daytona, and then you come to Atlanta, which is almost a hybrid between Daytona and what we're going to see next week. You get to the front late, and you hold on. How do you do it?
Oh, it's all teamwork. It is definitely all teamwork. I mean, last week it was Kai Polito. This week it was Austin Fitzgerald. So I've got nothing but to thank my teammates for these 2 wins in a row. I mean, right here, it's all it is teamwork. That's all it took.
Well, back-to-back, plenty impressive enough in itself. But next week, going to head to the first somewhat technical track in Las Vegas. Still 1.5 miles. How you feeling about your chances there?
I'm feeling pretty good. We've got a good set that we've been working on, so I'm feeling pretty confident. It feels fast, feels quick, so these dynamic Fords are going to take it to them. So we like our chances in Vegas. So maybe we'll, go to the gambling or go to the slots if we feel really lucky.
I was going to say, Sin City, the best place to gamble and go for 3 in a row. But, hey, before we let you head out to celebrate here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my family and friends and my wife especially for always letting me do this. Thank you, Maggie. And to you, Austin, thank you so much for doing what you do in the broadcast booth. You're great. It's so much fun to watch what you do. So thank you for what you do up there in that booth.
Well, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats on the win, Jake. Wouldn't be surprised if we're talking to you here again next week. We'll see you then.
Yeah, hopefully so. Have a good night, Austin.
You as well. All right. Well, tell you what a race it was and a clean finish. Love to see that here at a track that sometimes can have a reputation for getting a little dirty towards the end of the race, but man, what a fun one it was, and your winner in the Atlanta Spring 200 is Jake Hickson. Congratulations to him. Another good one tonight, and we have got another good one on tap next week. We head again to Sin City, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Make sure you come check it out. That's going to wrap it up for me, Austin Green, here on Ghost Racing Network. Thank you all so much for coming out. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, have a good night.